boast, but it's disguised as a complaint.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I'm so busy. Like, I've got stuff to do. I'm living life, you know.
Or it's more said more like, well, I'm busy.
Yeah.
And then the response is always like, well, it's better than the alternative.
I know. Oh, I hate that. How you doing today? I'm not 6 feet under, Bob. Oh, jeez.
But yeah, we do. We complain about it, but at the same time, we're bragging about it because if somebody's like, oh, I'm not busy at all.
Yeah.
I got nothing to do at work right now. They're like, oh, you're going to get fired soon.
And it's almost like if...
Everybody stop delegating stuff. Yeah. You're on your way out.
Yeah, it's almost like if you say you're not busy, then it's like, that's like you're wasting time and you're irresponsible, you know? It's like, you're not busy?
Because we think busy implies critical or implies linchpin. And it's wrong to think that. If you're busy and you've got 50 different projects to do that have been assigned to you, or 5 different projects to do that have been assigned to you, it's not because you're the linchpin, it's because you're the workhorse.
Yeah, you're the pushover.
Yeah, you're the one that everybody delegates their stuff to. And I like that about this study, how it was talking about like effective leaders delegate most of the work to their teams. And if they don't, it's called micromanaging. When you give it to somebody, but you still are right over their shoulder supervising how everything's done.
Yeah, so. I had a coworker that did that. She wasn't my supervisor, but she was kind of like the head. And she would like tell us to do things, and we would do it. And then I'd give it to her, and she's like, oh, I already did it. Like, why are you wasting both of our time? It was super frustrating.
But yeah, we think busy equals being that linchpin, when really the linchpin, the one that's critical to the success of the company, is the one who does the work nobody else can do. And that is not usually busy work.
Right.
If it's something that anybody else can do, and they get, if a project gets taken from you and passed to somebody else, that's not linchpin work.
Right.
Whereas if it's like, if somebody comes up to you and they say, I need you to think on this, is there anything I can take off your plate? That's an indication that you're a linchpin, is if people volunteer to take your work from you so that you can do something more critical. And I think that's a signal of work that only you can do.
Yeah.
And we don't hear that very often in workplaces.
No.
So.
Yeah. I think he also said, like, once somebody hits about 50 hours of work a week, after that, then the output just falls. Like, you're not being any more productive.
I would say it's it's less than 50.
Less than 50, okay.
I would say it's actually about 35.
35, yeah.
Because you have to think about it. If France and Germany are the two examples that he holds up in here, if they can be as effective in 35 hours a week with what in the United States people might say, oh, it's not until I hit overtime that I start being really productive.
Right.
That means that extra 15 hours is unnecessary time. I mean, the best test of this is if I came up to you and said, this is a horrible situation, but I just, a relative just died and you need to fly out in 2 days. Finish up what you need to get done at work so that you can leave in 2 days. The amount of stuff that you would get done in those 2 days would actually show you how much time you need to actually be productive.
Yeah, because you would minimize things and just, I guess, get things you'd just kind of focus on what actually needs to be done.
Yep.
You wouldn't spend extra hour.
Yeah.
I
think Dave Ramsey actually makes that case for why he kicks everybody out of his offices at 5:30 every night, because he says the 2 days leading up to a vacation are the days when you get the most work done.
Yeah.
Because if I don't get it assigned to somebody else or get it done myself, it's not going to get done. Yeah. And it's just going to be piled up and waiting for me when I get back.
Yeah.
But 40, 50, 60 hours, you're not productive during that time. I know for me, in tax season, I'd spend those hours on billable work, but it wasn't like I was thinking about the stuff. I was just racking up hours for it.
Right.
So the really productive times, and you'd see, is a tax return that, let's say March 20th might take me 6 hours. It's now April 15th and that same tax return needs to get done. and it needs to be done by midnight, we're pushing it through and getting it done in 3 or
Yeah.
4 hours or something like that.
Right.
So because you have a hard deadline.
Yeah.
I think when you add a 50 or 60 hour to your week cap, you don't
Yeah.
actually get to that deadline mentally
Right.
until you're getting closer to
Yeah.
that 50 or 60 hours.
Yeah. I think that's why I usually waited to do my English papers like the day before.
Mhm.
Because if you get a month, everybody's waiting 2 days before or 1 day before because you have the time.
Yeah, you have those teachers that are like, I'm going to give you all of your due dates at the beginning of the semester.
Yeah.
And it's
like,
like, oh,
you might as well just...
this is awesome. I can get them all done in the first week of school. No.
I'm going to get them all done on the last day.
You still get them all done in the
Yeah.
last week
Yeah.
on each one.
Right.
So, and that's what we do, subconsciously or not. Some of us are purposeful about that, and most of us are just like, no, I got time. I can wait on
Yeah.
that one. So even if the time is, I know I'm going to be here till 10 o'clock tonight, so I'm just going to push it off a little bit longer.
Right.
So.
But this whole article kind of screams like, I hate my job. I want to work less. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I want more time to myself. You know, I don't want to be at work, you know.
It does, because this whole article seemed like it was a case for more vacation time and sick days.
Yeah.
That was the gist that I got from this
Right.
article, is
Yeah.
we need to legislate a whole month off.
Yeah.
And, you know,
France has laws saying you can't work more than 35 hours a week or something.
and here in the U.S. we've got a great new law starting effective December 1st. I don't know if you've seen this, being out of the workforce, or being out of the salaried workforce now. They just instituted a new overtime law.
Oh.
And so you used to, for salaried employees, you were exempt from tracking hourly work if they made more than like $24,000 a year or something.
Mm-hmm.
So they were just salaried and they worked what they worked.
Right.
They've changed it, and it goes into effect December 1st. And I am hoping, because I know the ramifications of this, I'm hoping this is one of the first things that Trump's presidency tackles, because it's a horrible law.
Yeah.
But they've changed it now to like 41,000 or something like that. You have to pay overtime for anybody who makes less than $40,000 a year, which means all those salaried workers who make $35,000 a year now have to track their hours, now will approach overtime, and now will, the real effective is the same way it is in hourly restaurant work.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to end up having to work 2 or 3 jobs
Right.
to get the same amount of pay that they were when they were working one job.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, I agree with you. That's what this article trends towards, because they think that legislating it and forcing employers to give everybody breaks is the answer. And it's not.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
when I worked at Domino's, you had to stop at 29 hours was
Right.
all you got booked,
Yeah.
because they knew if anything went over, they still had 10 and a half hours, 11 hours
to play with. Yeah.
as a cushion.
Yep.
And you were not getting anywhere close to overtime. Why should I hire you for overtime and pay you time and a half when I can just hire another worker to work 30 hours?
And he'll do the same thing.
And now I have two employees working 30 hours instead
Right.
of one employee working 40 plus 20 at time and a half.
Right.
So it's going to be the exact same thing. Tax season for CPA firms. You're going to have more employees, less hours per employee.
But the government is creating jobs.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how they're creating it. It's stupid.
Yep. But that being said, the article slants that way, but I really do think that quiet time and time off is effective for entrepreneurs, for one thing. I mean, we don't get paid for the hours we work. We get paid for the ideas that we implement. And think about when you get your best ideas.
When you're not.
They're rarely ever while you're sitting at a desk typing something up. So
That's right.
I mean, we should have 10 hours a day of showers, basically,
There
because
you
that's
go.
where the best
That's where
ideas come
mine
from.
are, yeah.
Or bathroom breaks
Yeah.
or something like that. So
Yeah, that's weird how it's when you're not trying to figure out a solution to something, it just comes to you as you're not thinking about it.
in the silence, in
Yeah.
the space.
Yeah.
And that's because it's kind of like forcing yourself to be creative. It's like, sit down and write a book. Okay, I'm going to sit down. What am I going to write about? I have no idea.
Yeah.
What's on Facebook?
Yeah.
All right, I'll go do
Oh,
this.
yeah. Wikipedia.
So that's the way it is when you're forced to do something. But when you're not forced to do it, you take all those thoughts with you still. Mm-hmm. And so while you're distracting your body and your brain with something routine like lifting weights or gardening or walking your dog, mm-hmm. your brain is freed up to no pressure now, no deadline or anything like that. Think about that idea. And that's why it happens while you're sleeping, while your brain is making all those connections at night, mm-hmm. in the shower, out in the woods, taking a walk, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So that I think we do need more of, and that, I said I'm not good at that, the doing nothing stuff. Yeah. But I force myself every day to go to the gym, mm-hmm. even if I have more work to do, mm-hmm. because I know that's a deadline. So I have to be done with all my work by 2:30 so that I can leave. And then it's also a distinct stop and says, I'll come back to this tomorrow, and my brain will still think about it for the rest of the night. Right. So.
Are you good at that though? Just shutting off your business and.
I have become better at it. Yes. So I said I'm not that good at just sitting there with a pencil and a notebook. But yeah, drawing lines of distinction between my business is something I grew into. Hadoken!